The vast emptiness of space held many secrets, but few were as intriguing as the dark shape that drifted silently through the Orion sector. Professor Reed stood at the main viewport of the research vessel, Starseeker, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display showing their latest discovery. "Another piece of space junk," muttered first researcher Wilson, his scales shifting to a bored shade of blue. "We should move on to the next sector." But Reed wasn't so quick to dismiss it. There was something about the shape that caught his attention. It was too regular, too purposeful in its design. "Bring us closer," he ordered, his voice carrying the authority that came with 30 years of deep space archaeology. The Starseeker's engines hummed softly as they approached the mysterious object. As they drew closer, the ship's advanced sensors began painting a clearer picture. It was a vessel, roughly 300 meters in length, its hull marked with strange symbols and what appeared to be primitive projectile weapon systems. "By the stars," Reed whispered, his inner eyelids blinking rapidly in excitement. "It's human in origin." The announcement sent a ripple of amusement through the bridge crew. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as newcomers to the interstellar community, having only achieved faster-than-light travel in the last century. Finding one of their early vessels was like discovering a stone axe at a plasma rifle convention. Young researcher Tom, fresh from the academy, leaned forward at his console. "Sir, I'm detecting residual energy readings. They're faint, but they're there." "Impossible," Wilson scoffed, moving to check the readings himself. Any power systems would have failed centuries ago. These human vessels were practically steam-powered compared to modern standards. The Starseeker's lights illuminated the ancient vessel's hull, revealing faded text that read HMS Thunder in what the database identified as English, one of Earth's old languages. The ship's hull was scarred but largely intact, a testament to whatever materials the humans had used in its construction. "Look at those weapon mounts," one of the junior researchers laughed. "They actually used physical projectiles. How quaint." Reed ignored the laughter. Something about this vessel didn't fit with their understanding of early human spaceflight. The hull design was too sophisticated, the weapon placements too well thought out. This wasn't some primitive attempt at space warfare. This was something else entirely. "Prepare the tractor beams," Reed announced. "We're bringing it aboard for study." "Professor," Tom interjected, "these energy readings, they're following a pattern. It's almost like random energy decay." Yes," Wilson interrupted. "We've all seen dying ships before, Tom. No need to get excited over every little anomaly." The massive cargo bay of the Starseeker opened like a giant maw, ready to swallow their discovery. The tractor beams engaged, their purple light enveloping the human vessel. It came willingly, almost too willingly, Reed thought. As the HMS Thunder settled into their cargo bay, the research team gathered around it. Up close, the vessel was even more impressive. Despite its age, there was a solidity to it, a sense of purpose in every plate and weld. The humans might have been new to space, but they had clearly built this ship to last. "Look at these markings," Reed said, pointing to warning symbols etched into the hull. Multiple languages, including some I'd never seen before. The humans wanted to make sure anyone who found this ship would understand something about it. "Probably warning us about their primitive reactor," Wilson chuckled. "Imagine using nuclear fission in space. It's like using a campfire to heat a city." But as the team continued their initial survey, Reed couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. The HMS Thunder might have been old, might have been human-made, but something about it demanded respect. "Begin surface scans," he ordered. "I want to know everything about this ship." And Tom, "Yes, Professor. Keep monitoring those energy readings. Sometimes the most interesting discoveries come from the anomalies others are too quick to dismiss." As the research team spread out around the vessel, none of them noticed the slight flicker of light deep within the ship's bridge, nor the way the ancient sensors briefly came to life, scanning their modern vessel with technology that was anything but primitive. The HMS Thunder may have been sleeping, but it wasn't dead. Not by a long shot. The research team worked through the night cycle, their scanning equipment casting blue lights across the HMS Thunder's dark hull. Tom sat at his monitoring station, fighting back sleep as he watched the energy readings from the human vessel. Something about them bothered him. They weren't random at all. "Professor Reed," he called out, "you might want to see this." The older alien moved across the cargo bay, his feet making soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. "What have you found?" Tom pointed to his screen. "The energy pulses. They're coming in regular intervals, like a heartbeat." Before Reed could respond, Wilson's voice cut through the air. "Professor, we've managed to access one of their external data panels." The team gathered around a section of the hull where Wilson had managed to power up an ancient screen. Text scrolled across it, first in English, then cycling through various human languages. "Warning. Military vessel. Unauthorized access prohibited. TLS. Thunder-type DP space warship. Status. STANDBY. Stand by." Reed's inner eyelids flickered with interest, not deactivated or abandoned. Wilson waved his hand dismissively. Ancient systems failing to update their status. Nothing more. "Look at this interface. It's not even using neural links or thought projection. They had to physically touch the screen to operate it." But Tom wasn't so sure. He'd been studying human history in his spare time, and something about this ship reminded him of old stories. "Professor, did you know humans had a saying? Keep it simple. Keep it working." "Charming," Wilson said with a laugh. "Next you'll tell us they believed in luck and magic too." The team continued their examination, carefully documenting every aspect of the vessel. They found weapon mounts that seemed surprisingly well maintained despite their age, and armor plating that their scanners had trouble analyzing. "These readings can't be right," one researcher said, frowning at her equipment. "According to this, the hull is denser than modern battleship armor." "Recalibrate your scanner," Wilson ordered. "These primitive humans couldn't possibly." A loud clang interrupted him as a maintenance panel suddenly popped open on the ship's side. The team jumped back, startled. Inside, they found rows of data crystals, still glowing faintly with stored information. Reed carefully removed one and inserted it into their translation device. The holographic display flickered to life, showing technical specifications and mission parameters. "This is interesting," Reed muttered, his professional tone hiding his growing excitement. According to this, the Thunder wasn't just a warship. It was a prototype. Tom leaned in closer, reading the scrolling text. "Project Guardian," he translated. "A human military initiative to create ships that could survive anything." "Primitive doesn't always mean simple," Reed said thoughtfully. "Look at these design principles: redundant systems, mechanical backups, armor designed to work without power. They built this ship to keep fighting even if everything went wrong." Wilson snorted. "And what good would that do against modern weapons? Our ships could disable it with a single electromagnetic pulse." As if in response to his words, Tom's monitor began beeping rapidly. The energy readings from the ship had suddenly doubled. "Professor," Tom called out, trying to keep his voice steady, "I think the ship is scanning us." "Impossible," Wilson said. "Its systems are dead." But more warning texts were appearing on the whole screen now. XTE or an ALSCANDTCTE. Ship status. Analyzing threat. Power core. May INTENGSTANDBY. Get back from the hull, Reed ordered, finally sensing that something wasn't right. "Stop all scanning operations." "Tom, what are those energy readings doing now?" Tom checked his monitor, his eyes widening. "They're adapting, sir. Every time we scan the ship, it scans us back. It's learning." The cargo bay suddenly seemed very quiet, the ancient human vessel looming over them like a sleeping giant. The team's laughter had died away, replaced by an uneasy silence. "Sir," Tom said quietly, "maybe we should look at those warning messages again." Really look at them. Reed nodded slowly, his earlier amusement fading as he realized that perhaps they had been too quick to dismiss this relic of human engineering. The HMS Thunder might have been old, but age didn't always mean weakness. Sometimes it meant survival. The first warning came from the Star Seeker's long-range sensors. 3 ships had appeared at the edge of the system, their engines burning hot as they moved with clear purpose toward the research vessel. "Unidentified ships approaching," announced the bridge officer. "No registration signals, no response to hails." Professor Reed felt his scales tighten with worry as he studied the sensor readings. He had been in space long enough to know what that meant. Pirates. "Time to intercept," he asked, trying to keep his voice calm for the sake of his team. 20 minutes at their current speed," the navigation officer reported. "They're running with military-grade engines, sir. Definitely not merchants." Wilson rushed onto the bridge, his usual confident manner shaken. "We need to run." Those energy signatures matched the Red Claw pirates. They'd hit 3 other research vessels this month alone. Reed nodded grimly. "Prepare for emergency jump. Get us out of." The bridge lights flickered and died. Emergency lighting cast red shadows across worried faces as system after system went dark. "What happened?" Reed demanded. "Electromagnetic pulse," the engineering officer shouted. "They hit us with something new. Main power is down. Backup systems are scrambled. We can't jump." Tom, who had been monitoring the HMS Thunder, burst onto the bridge. "Professor, we have more problems. The cargo bay doors are stuck open. We can't even run if we wanted to." A harsh voice crackled over their communication system. "Research vessel Star Seeker. This is Captain Black of the Red Claw. Your shields are down, your engines are dead, and your fancy technology is useless. Prepare to be boarded." Reed looked at his terrified crew. Their advanced ship, pride of the research fleet, had been disabled in seconds. All their modern technology, rendered worthless by a simple but effective attack. "Options?" he asked, hoping someone would have an answer. "We could try to restore power," the engineer suggested, "but it would take hours. Those pirate ships will be here in minutes." "Security teams to critical sections," Wilson ordered, but everyone knew their small security force was no match for hardened pirates. Tom had been unusually quiet, staring at his datapad. "Professor," he said slowly, "there might be another way." "What are you thinking?" "The HMS Thunder. It's still active. In fact," Tom showed them his readings. "Its power levels have been rising ever since the EMP hit us." Wilson scoffed, though his voice shook slightly. "That ancient human relic. It's probably just failing from the pulse like everything else." But Reed remembered the warning messages, the strange readings, the way the ship had seemed to learn from their scans. "Tom, what exactly are you suggesting?" "The Thunder was built to survive electromagnetic attacks. Its systems are mostly mechanical and hardened electronics. And," Tom hesitated before continuing, "I think it's been watching us. Learning. It knows we're in danger." Another message crackled through their speakers. "5 minutes to boarding. Star Seeker. Don't try anything stupid, and maybe we'll let some of you live." Reed made his decision. Everyone to the cargo bay. Now. They rushed through darkened corridors, emergency lights casting strange shadows. When they reached the cargo bay, the HMS Thunder waited, silent and dark. But not dead. Never dead. "How do we even activate it?" Wilson asked, his earlier dismissal of human technology forgotten in their desperation. Tom approached the external panel they had found earlier. The screen still glowed faintly, cycling through its warnings. But now there was new text. XTERNAL38DETCCE. Ho style, Sheabitses, APPROHHAing. Defiance Poroto Civils. Ready. Awaiting authorization. It wants permission, Tom realized. The humans built in safety protocols. It won't act without authorization. Reed stepped forward. As the senior researcher present, he was technically in command. He placed his hand on the panel, hoping the ancient human ship would understand. "This is Professor Reed of the research vessel Starseeker. We are under attack and request defensive assistance. Authorization granted." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the HMS Thunder's hull began to hum. Lights that hadn't shone in centuries flickered to life. Ancient weapon systems began to power up, and the ship's AI core, dormant but never dead, awakened to fulfill its primary directive: protect. The pirates were about to learn why humans had survived countless wars to reach the stars. They were about to learn about human engineering, human determination, and human ingenuity. They were about to learn to fear a relic. The cargo bay of the Starseeker trembled as the HMS Thunder came to life. Systems that had slept for centuries awakened one by one, each with a purpose, each built to last. "Look," Tom pointed at the ship's hull where panels were sliding away, revealing weapon systems that didn't look primitive at all. They looked dangerous. A deep voice, clearly artificial but somehow warm, filled the cargo bay. "HMS Thunder active. Combat Eye online. Analyzing situation." Wilson stared open-mouthed at the display. "It speaks. But how? Its systems should be incompatible with." Threat assessment complete. The Thunder's AI continued. 3 hostile vessels approaching. Research vessel Starseeker disabled by electromagnetic pulse. Crew in danger. Primary directive: protect. Reed watched in amazement as the ancient warship's engines began to glow. Not with the usual plasma shimmer of modern ships, but with something deeper, more purposeful. The hull plates shifted and locked into combat positions with mechanical precision. "Your ship," Tom said quietly. "It's beautiful." The AI seemed to pause for a moment. "Thank you. I was built by humans who believed in doing things right. Not quickly, not cheaply, but right." Suddenly, the Thunder's external sensors flashed. "Warning. Hostiles entering weapons range in 2 minutes. Recommend immediate evacuation of cargo bay." "Evacuation?" Wilson asked. "Why would we?" A series of loud clanks interrupted him as the Thunder's landing struts retracted. The ship was preparing to move. "All crew, clear the cargo bay," Reed ordered. They rushed to the observation room overlooking the bay, watching through reinforced windows as the ancient warship prepared for battle. "Professor," Tom said, checking his readings, "you need to see this. The Thunder's power output, it's massive. But it's not using antimatter or fusion like our ships. It's using multiple systems." The AI answered him. "Correct. Redundant power systems. Nuclear, chemical, kinetic storage. If one fails, others take over. Humans learned early. No single point of failure." Wilson shook his head in disbelief. "But that's so inefficient." "Efficiency is secondary to survival," the AI stated simply. "Pirates approaching. Beginning combat operations." The Thunder's engines roared fully to life. The sound was different from modern ships, deeper, more physical. The cargo bay doors were still stuck open from the EMP, but that didn't matter. The human warship simply powered through them, tearing free of the Starseeker like a predator unleashed. "Damage report," the AI announced. 0. Hull integrity at 100%. Weapons charging. Through the observation windows, the research team watched as the Thunder oriented itself between the Starseeker and the approaching pirate ships. Its weapon ports were now fully open, revealing a mix of technologies that made Wilson gasp. Railguns, missile tubes, physical ammunition. They'll never penetrate modern shields. "Incorrect," the AI responded. "Modern shields optimized against energy weapons. Physical projectiles remain effective." Humans understood this, prepared for it. The first pirate ship fired, sending a burst of plasma toward the Thunder. Instead of trying to dodge, the ancient warship simply angled its hull. The plasma splashed harmlessly across armor that had been designed to withstand far worse. "Return fire authorized," the AI announced, demonstrating human combat doctrine. The Thunder's railgun spoke first, launching projectiles at speeds that broke the light barrier. The pirates' shields, designed to stop energy weapons, barely slowed them down. The first pirate ship's shield generators exploded in a shower of sparks. "Impossible," Wilson whispered. "No," Tom said, understanding finally dawning. "Not impossible. Just human." The Thunder was fully awake now, its systems singing with power. Each weapon had a backup, each system had redundancies, and at its core, an AI built not with crystal matrices or quantum computers, but with hardened electronics that could survive almost anything. To all hostile vessels, the Thunder broadcast on all frequencies, its voice calm but carrying the weight of centuries of human military experience. "This is your only warning. Withdraw or be destroyed. I am HMS Thunder, built by humanity to protect. I have waited centuries to fulfill my purpose. Please, give me a reason." The research team watched in awe as the ancient warship faced down 3 modern pirates. The term relic no longer seemed appropriate. This wasn't just a piece of history. This was humanity's legacy, awakened and ready for war. The silence of space was broken by the thunder of ancient weapons. The HMS Thunder moved with surprising grace for its size, positioning itself between the pirates and the disabled Starseeker. Last warning ignored, the Thunder's AI announced calmly, beginning combat operations. The pirate ships spread out, trying to flank the human warship. Their energy weapons lit up space with bright colors, modern plasma cannons throwing their best at the Thunder. But the Thunder didn't dodge. It didn't need to. Hull temperature rising, the AI reported, within acceptable parameters, armor performing as designed. Calculating optimal response. The research team watched from their observation room as the Thunder demonstrated why humanity had survived countless space battles. The first pirate ship learned this lesson the hard way. "Target locked," the Thunder announced, deploying countermeasures. Instead of energy beams or plasma, small ports opened along the Thunder's hull. Hundreds of tiny objects shot out, spreading like a cloud around the warship. "What are those?" Wilson asked, pressing against the window. Tom checked his readings. "Metal fragments. Simple pieces of metal." "Metal fragments," Wilson scoffed. "Against modern ships." The lead pirate ship fired its engines, charging forward. Its shields glowed brightly, ready to deflect any energy attack. But the Thunder wasn't playing by modern rules. "Activating electromagnetic pulse grid," the Thunder stated. The cloud of metal fragments suddenly charged with electricity. Before the pirates could react, the Thunder's railguns fired, not at the ships, but at the charged metal cloud. The result was spectacular. The fragments accelerated in all directions, creating a storm of hypersonic metal that overwhelmed the pirate ship's shields through sheer kinetic force. "By the stars," Reed whispered. "They're using simple physics as a weapon." The pirate ship's shields flickered and died. Its hull, designed to resist energy weapons, provided little protection against the old-fashioned assault. Within seconds, its engines were shredded, leaving it dead in space. The remaining 2 pirate ships tried a different approach. They fired EMP weapons, the same type that had disabled the Starseeker. "EMP detected," the Thunder reported. Switching to mechanical systems, no effect on combat capabilities. "No effect." Wilson gasped. "How is that possible?" Tom understood now. "Because humans built this ship to work even when everything else failed. Look, those weapon systems are purely mechanical. They don't need complex electronics to function." The Thunder's next attack proved his point. Missile tubes opened along its spine, launching projectiles that looked deceptively simple. "Basic rocket propulsion," the AI explained as the missiles streaked toward their targets. "No electronic guidance. Mechanical targeting systems only." Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The pirates tried to jam the missiles, tried to hack them, tried every modern defense. Nothing worked. The missiles, guided by simple physics and mechanical computers, struck true. One pirate ship lost its main engines. The other took a hit to its weapon systems. "Your technologies are impressive," the Thunder broadcast to the pirates. "But humans learned long ago, the more complex the system, the more ways it can fail." The remaining functional pirate ship turned to flee, its captain finally understanding what they faced. But the Thunder wasn't finished teaching its lesson. Target locked. Deploying main weapon. A massive gun barrel extended from the Thunder's bow. It looked almost comical in its simplicity, just a huge tube of metal. "Is that a cannon?" Wilson asked in disbelief. "Magnetically accelerated heavy projectile launcher," the AI corrected, or as humans called it, the big gun. The weapon fired once, just once. The recoil pushed the Thunder back several kilometers. The projectile, a simple mass of dense metal, struck the fleeing pirate ship with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The ship didn't explode, it simply ceased to exist. As the thunder of battle faded, the ancient warship turned its attention to the disabled pirate vessels. Survivors detected. Initiating rescue operations, as humans would say. The battle is over. Time to show mercy. The research team stood in stunned silence. They had just watched an obsolete human warship defeat 3 modern pirate vessels using technology their ancestors would have recognized. "Professor," Tom said quietly, "I think we need to rewrite our understanding of human engineering." Reed nodded slowly. "Indeed, sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant and the most deadly." With the battle over, the HMS Thunder returned to the Star Seeker's cargo bay, settling down with gentle precision despite its massive size. The research team had gathered in the cargo bay again, their earlier fear replaced by burning curiosity. "Access granted to main database," the Thunder's AI announced. "You have proven yourselves worthy allies. You may now learn why I was built." Professor Reed approached the ship's main terminal, his hands trembling slightly. The screen lit up, revealing documents and designs that made his scientific mind race with excitement. "Project Guardian," Tom read aloud, standing beside Reed. "A human military initiative from the year 2152. The screen filled with images of Earth's early space battles. The Thunder's AI narrated as the images changed. Humans were not the strongest species when they reached the stars, not the fastest, not the most technologically advanced. Then how did they survive?" Wilson asked, his earlier dismissiveness completely gone. "They survived because they understood something fundamental," the AI explained. "Something that other species often forgot in their race for advancement." The screen showed the Thunder's original design plans. Unlike modern ships with their sleek, complex systems, the Thunder's design was deliberately straightforward. Every system had mechanical backups. Every weapon had multiple ways to fire. Every critical component could be repaired with basic tools. "Humans had a saying," the AI continued. "Keep it simple. Stupid. They called it the KISS principle." Tom nodded enthusiastically. "Of course, the simpler something is, the harder it is to break." More documents appeared on the screen. Battle reports, testing data, and performance evaluations. The Thunder had been part of a whole class of warships designed not to be the most advanced, but to be the most reliable. Modern ships, the AI explained, rely on complex shield harmonics, quantum targeting systems, and AI-driven power management. One electromagnetic pulse can disable them all. Reed understood now. "But you use physical armor that doesn't need power to work. Mechanical weapon systems that can't be hacked. Multiple independent power sources that can't all fail at once." "Correct." Humans called it constructive paranoia. They assumed everything that could fail would fail. So they built ships that could keep fighting even when half their systems were dead. Wilson studied the battle damage reports with growing amazement. These ships, they survived battles that should have destroyed them. Not because they were stronger, but because they just wouldn't die. The AI seemed pleased with their understanding. Humans learned this lesson through centuries of warfare on their home planet. The most elegant solution is not always the best solution. Sometimes, you just need something that works. New images appeared, showing the Thunder's sister ships in various battles. They weren't pretty. They weren't elegant, but they survived when more advanced ships were destroyed. But why hide this technology? Reed asked. Why let others think humans were technologically inferior? Sun Tzu, an ancient human military philosopher, said, "Appear weak when you are strong." Humans let others underestimate them. It was a strategy that served them well. Tom was examining the Thunder's weapon systems with new appreciation. These railguns, they're so simple in design, but the mathematics behind them is brilliant. The humans figured out exactly how much force they needed and didn't waste energy on anything more. Efficiency through simplicity, the AI confirmed. No wasted energy, no unnecessary complexity. Everything serves a purpose. The final document appeared on the screen. The Thunder's original mission orders. Reed read them aloud. To protect human interests and allies through whatever means necessary, for as long as necessary. I have fulfilled that mission today, the AI said. But there is one more thing you should know. The screen changed one last time, showing a map of human space. Dozens of dots appeared, each representing another obsolete warship like the Thunder. We are not relics, the AI stated. We are guardians, waiting, watching, ready to protect those in need. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not advanced technology that can fail, but simple technology that will not. The research team stood in silence, absorbing the revelation. They had thought themselves superior with their advanced technology. Instead, they had learned a humbling lesson about the true nature of progress. Sometimes, moving forward meant remembering the basics. Sometimes, the old ways were the best ways. And sometimes, a primitive human warship could teach the galaxy a lesson it desperately needed to learn. 1 month after the battle, the Starseeker's observation deck was crowded with officials from across the galaxy. Professor Reed stood before them, preparing to present his team's findings about the HMS Thunder. Distinguished colleagues, he began, his scales shimmering with excitement. What we originally thought was a primitive relic has forced us to reconsider everything we know about human engineering. The holographic display showed the Thunder, now proudly restored to its full glory. The ship had refused to leave the Starseeker, stating its new mission was to protect the research vessel. Nobody had argued with that decision. The humans had a saying. Tom added from his place beside Reed. If it looks stupid but works, it isn't stupid. The Thunder embodies this philosophy perfectly. Wilson, who had undergone perhaps the biggest change in perspective, stepped forward to operate the display. It showed detailed scans of the Thunder systems, each one a testament to human ingenuity. Look at this armor, Wilson said, pointing to the hull specifications. No energy fields, no quantum harmonics, just layers of carefully engineered metal alloys. We shot it with our most advanced weapons and control tests. It didn't even leave a mark. The audience murmured in surprise. One official raised a hand. But surely their weapon systems are outdated. Reed smiled. The Thunder's AI. Would you like to address that? The Thunder's warm, steady voice filled the room. My weapons are simple. Railguns, missiles, kinetic projectiles. They cannot be hacked. They cannot be jammed. They simply work. But what about efficiency? Another official asked. Surely the energy requirements. Efficiency is not always the goal, Reed interrupted. The Thunder carries enough fuel and ammunition to fight continuously for 5 years. Modern ships can fight for perhaps 5 hours before needing resupply. Tom brought up the battle recordings. The audience watched in stunned silence as the ancient human warship systematically dismantled 3 modern pirate vessels. The pirates had superior technology in every way, Tom explained. But they relied too heavily on complex systems. The Thunder simply had to disrupt those systems to win. And that's the true genius of human engineering, Reed continued. They built their ships not to be the most advanced, but to be the most reliable. The Thunder can lose half its systems and still fight. Our modern ships lose one system, and they're crippled. The Thunder's AI added its own perspective. Humans understood something fundamental about war and survival. The most elegant solution is not always the best solution. Sometimes, you need something that simply refuses to die. Wilson brought up the final display, a proposal that had already been approved by the Galactic Research Council. Based on our findings, he announced, we are establishing a new engineering principle, the Human Reliability Doctrine. Sometimes, simpler is better. Sometimes, older is stronger. And sometimes, what looks like a step backward is actually a step forward. The audience broke into excited discussion. Already, several military observers were taking notes, their earlier dismissiveness completely gone. But there's one more thing, Reed said, raising his voice for attention. The Thunder shared something with us in private, something that changes everything we thought we knew about human space capability. The AI's voice carried a hint of pride as it spoke. I am not alone. There are others like me, waiting, watching, protecting. Humans seeded the galaxy with ships like me, appearing to fall behind in technology, while actually moving forward in their own way. They let us think they were primitive, Tom added. Let us dismiss them as technologically inferior, all while they built an invisible network of ships that could survive anything we could throw at them. And now, Reed concluded, they've shared this knowledge with us, not because they had to, but because we proved ourselves worthy allies. The Thunder didn't just save our lives. It taught us a valuable lesson about progress. The room fell silent as the Thunder's final words echoed through the chamber. Humans have a saying, the more complex the system, the more ways it can fail. Remember this, honor this, and perhaps one day, when you need help most desperately, you might hear the thunder of human engineering coming to your aid. Outside the observation deck's windows, the HMS Thunder floated proudly beside the Starseeker. Its simple lines and solid construction no longer looked primitive. They looked eternal. They looked reliable. They looked human.